So you've got a new project now called the Bad Law Project, and that's what you got arrested for a few months ago. Tell me about that. How did that start?
Okay, so Lawrence Fox, who was famously cancelled for not agreeing that all white people are racist, his very lucrative career was cancelled, and he ran for he ran for mayor of London, and it was during that period that he and I got to know each other because he was consulting with me about policing and policing policy, etc.
And at the same time, I was running for mayor of Greater Manchester, and me and you had a conversation about policing as well.
That's right. Yeah, I remember it. I remember that now. I had forgotten about that. Yeah, you're right. Um, so we got to know each other then, and then following my win at the Court of Appeal, where we fundamentally changed policing forever, I said to Lawrence, you know, I know you set up a political party, but if you win a seat, if you win one seat, what really have you won? What influence have you got, really? I said, well, there's another way of doing this, and that's through what I've done, which is by taking one of the foundational institutions, the police, through the courts and winning and making them change their behaviour. I've done the job of the Home Secretary. Now that's a bigger job than doing the job of an MP. So why don't we just replicate the model and take the large institutions, the foundational institutions, through the courts when they're getting it fundamentally wrong. And he said, "Well, that's a really good idea." So we set up the Bad Law Project. Now the name, obviously, it's partially trolling Julian Mourn's Good Law Project, which is the wokest, leftist, so-called law movement on the planet. Um, so that was one reason, obviously, just to troll him. But the more important and the more enduring and the more grown up reason is because we think that there are an awful lot of very good laws that have been turned bad through bad guidance and bad practice. And so the Bad Law Project is seeking to reverse that trend. Now that takes us into what happened in where was it? Was it Hampshire? Yeah, Hampshire, Aldershot. Uh, this summer, where a war veteran, a Royal Green Jacket with 30 years service and a chest full of medals, was approached by the police for simply posting on social media the trans flag configured so that
Well, he didn't post it. He just shared it.
they just shared it. Oh, well, even worse than that, he put it on a debating forum on Facebook and said, "What do people think of this?" He didn't even make a qualitative comment of his thoughts about it. But again, somebody perceived this as being racist and homophobic, and homophobic, yeah. So they got hold of the police. The police turned up and they said, "Look, this is definitely a non-crime hate incident, but we can turn this into a crime, or you can pay us 60 quid and we'll send you on a course to get your thinking checked, and it will just remain as a non-crime hate incident." And he argued the toss with them, and they agreed to come back 10 days later. In the meantime, he got hold of us, so we turned up there with our film crew, and
I've seen it.
yeah,
It
and
was great. It was great. It was
we did it.
great
We did this
TV.
thing. Yeah, we policed the police, and again, that was highly effective because within 24 hours, he got arrested. I got arrested. He got released within about an hour or two. I got released sometime after midnight. All charges against him were dropped the following morning. I'm still released under investigation, in effect on bail. But we were successful because the following morning, the PCC of Hampshire came out and said this 60 quid sending people on a course thing has got to go. It's got to stop immediately. And the chief constable, who was supposed to be taking up a job with the College of Policing, simply announced she was retiring. So it was a result. Now, to be fair, I said when I was contacted by the press, they said, "What do you want? Do you want an apology?" I said, "No, I want the chief constable's head in my fridge." By the way, I don't mean that literally; it's a metaphor. Uh, that's in fact what we got. we changed police policy at a local level, and we ended the career of that chief constable. So
And this is the way forward.
when you're brave, when you're smart, and when you take direct action.
And this is what's needed, because the only way we're going to change some of these big organizations is when it affects the top of it personally, when it affects their job, their pension, their salary. We saw this 10 years ago with the Rotherham inquiry, the first one, where the head of children's services in the council was sacked. Every head of children's services across the country all went, oh, we need to start doing something about the raping of these girls because it now affects me. And it's only when you go after the top layer that something ever gets done. So making her resign and going after chief constables and embarrassing them on national TV.
International TV. We got on Tucker Castle. We got everywhere in Australia, the States.
That's the way to do it. Waving placards outside the Home Office will do nothing. Writing letters will do nothing. The way you've set up Bad Law Project is the way to go, because you're just showing the failings in the system. You're showing the incompetence, the corruption, the ideology. And some of this sounds like it's come straight out of Maoist China or the Soviet Union.
Well, I'll tell you precisely where it's come out of, Nick. It's come out of Europe, because we haven't had a police Brexit. We haven't had one. We have the National LGBT Police Network, who are part of the Police Network Europe, who take their agenda directly from Rainbow Europe, which is set up by Ursula von der Leyen. Which is why only last week we had the police tweeting about a thing called recording bias indicators. What the hell is a bias indicator, Nick? It sounds pretty sinister to me. In the same week, we had the National LGBT Police Network lecturing us about how to speak about chromosomes. Now, can you imagine a world where the police think it's their job to lecture us about chromosomes and how to speak about chromosomes? This is where it's going, and we know where it's coming from. It's coming directly from Europe. Directly. We need a police Brexit, and we need it now.
And what people need to understand, the difference between UK policing and law and the continent, is we've got English common law. And English common law basically states you're free to do anything you want to do unless it breaks the law. On the continent, all their legal systems are set up as in you can do nothing unless the government and the law tells you can do it. The complete opposites.
Correct. And the police don't seem to understand this. They don't understand this. That unless I'm breaking the law, it's none of your damn business what I'm doing. So piss off. And that's what I'll say to them, Nick. And I'll say to them, screw be kind. I'm not going to be kind when it comes to this, because this is seeking to impose a system of permissions on us in the name of kindness and in the name of human rights. Well, screw all that. I ain't playing.